At the lineup there for Slaughter Slugs and Town USA we saw earlier on today with Sops having a pretty good performance. The whole team to an extent did pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. The big matchup for me is going to be Cope versus Medieval in that solo lane. Medieval, kind of like Mexiety. I always get them confused because their names are kind of similar, and they're both very, very strong players that have always been on the cusp of breaking in. So that's the matchup I'm looking at specifically here.
Thinking Benny Q versus Sops could be interesting in the Hunter role as well here as we do continue here.
Anytime Benny Q's playing, it's always going to be interesting because it's rarely a Hunter. We're about to see like some Hades ADC,
Hebo.
some Zhong ADC. My man plays things I don't understand.
Well,
I
we've
really
got to this point right now, which is the semi-final. So obviously, once you hit the semi-finals, you do get a nice boost in points for the first week.
Sure.
This is over 2 weeks for you guys just tuning in as well. So those points do amount to prizes to an extent in getting you through to the chance to face off in the relegations against the bottom 3 from the SPL last split.
Yeah, top 3 teams and points are going to move on after 2 weeks. So for teams like Everyday Gains that had a tough matchup in that round of 8, not getting quite as many points, they can definitely make a name for themselves next week if they're able to break into the top 4 and possibly even the top 3.
Well, Jingwei, Zeusban, Nike, and Thanatos, Sylvanas available. I always say that because he's really one of the top ones right now. But so is Giannis. And we saw how instrumental Giannis can be in a set, especially over a long period of time, just like Hurriwind was there.
That was the Hurriwind show. Like, let's be real for a second. I mean, he was the one making all the difference in that game, just really making use of those snipes for portals, for damage, mostly for damage, but occasionally for portals. Saving his teammates with his regular portals, really, really strong. But it's going to be neither of those characters. It's going to be this Ratatosker. We saw Sinosure piloting this last time around. We'll have to see how Slaughter Slugs are able to use it.
Has a bit of flexibility with Ratatosker as well. Can jungle, can solo lane, as some of the other PC pros have shown us over the last couple of months as well.
Very, very true. We'll have to wait and see. Medieval could bring this into the solo lane, but I do expect this is probably going to be in the jungle. Raw Sylvanas, the double sustained composition. Very, very strong early on here for Town.
I'm already feeling an Odin potentially before the counterban phase coming out from Slaughter Slugs here. Raw and Sylvanas do suffer against Odin. Anti-heal as well as both being unable to escape the ring could be important. But with already having Ratatosker, you're kind of pigeonholing Odin maybe to Ratatosker solo maybe for Odin to jungle.
Could be Ratatosker solo. Odin support, pretty solid as well. Doesn't bring that CC that you really want out of a support player, but as long as you surround him with CC, Scylla's a good start for that.
Boom.
And there it is. Yeah, the Odin ring is going to come up huge here. I wonder if they're going to use Phantom for the Sylvanas. Not going to forgo a blink or a shell or a sprint that we usually see at level 1 as the relic pickup. We might have to see Sylvanas pick that up early on.
That's true. We'll see what happens here, because a Wheelix is available for both teams here. Obviously, he's great against Odin, but at the same time, he would be great on that other team. I've not seen these picks and bans, by the way. I'm just going with the flow of the cast.
He really hasn't.
I'm just saying. I'm just actually on the ball for the first time.
And remember, just like Ratatosker can be a flex pick, a Willish can be a flex pick whenever Cope is on your team. Cope playing a Willish in the solo lane. If Medieval takes this into solo, it's going to be Cope playing a Willish. Guaranteed.
And now it's going to put a back foot onto Odin and where he's going to go for it. He's got to be very aware of a Wheelix. If he does go into the support role, you can't really get beads on an Odin in the support role. If he's playing jungle or solo, a little bit more likely, but solo...
Could force him into the blink to make sure that he can initiate without using the jump.
Which is wise.
And then you can just press 2, press 3, never even level your jump necessarily, and really prioritize those other 2 abilities. Though again, that would lock you out of getting that shell early on, which is oh so key, especially against a Raw or a Curse, though you really don't need a weakening Curse up whenever you have the Odin cage on your team. A lot of counterplay here that we're going to have to wait and see for these last 2 picks.
Well, we see Guan Yu being banned out by Tan USA. This is just to stop them getting any healing of their own, really, on their side. I mean, leftover healers here, Afro, Hell, those sort of things. It's not really something you have to worry about too much.
Terra's still on the board.
Is still up. That's a good point.
But that would really relegate Odin to solo, basically, or jungle, depending on if Ratatosker can go to the solo lane for this roster. And that would be difficult. I really do feel like Odin in the support role is the best spot for him in this particular draft. I want to keep him as far away from a Willish as I can. And I really, if I'm on Slaughter Slugs, I'm very wary of Cope on this Willish.
Well, the Slugs as well, obviously, they've banned away Jingwei and Kronos, both hunters for the most part, as well as Sol. So really taking shots there. Town USA could look for Freya, I guess, if they so chose, but not really got the pressure that you're wanting in the end of Season 3.
No, but we saw Freya be used very effectively against Town USA, so maybe Sops wants to get it on his pocket this time, just be able to push that pressure over there. Instead, it's going to be the Erlong Shen. So this is another flex pick. This could go into the jungle for Mexiety, or it could go into the solo for Cope, but it's probably for Cope. We've seen Cope on this. Both times that we've spectated them so far today, it's been to Cope in the solo lane. This makes me think that maybe I'm willing to put Odin over there, but he can get knocked up anyways by the Erlong Shen. Even if he doesn't use his jump, that's a great synergy between Erlong Shen and Awilish, is that turtle transformation. This is a very good draft phase from both teams.
Until the Poseidon pick, which is going to be a Hunter here. I predict that's going to be in the Hunter role of Poseidon.
Yeah, this is Benny-Q. Yeah,
Benny-Q.
Yeah,
this is jank.
Yeah, this is Benny-Q stuff. It's real Benny-Q hours out here.
It real is right now. Real is right now. My English is great right now. Well, we'll see what Team USA are going to round things off, knowing they've got to deal with Poseidon, because Odin's the big playmaker here for me overall. Odin's the one that could really make things work, because the ring will lock them down for Poseidon and Scylla to both land those potential ultimates.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Khepri as well, because the Khepri can actually allow the Ratatosk Odin to go in, get killed, revive, go again.
Yeah, I think the Khepri pick here is very, very solid with that Odin. Just throw that revive on him whenever he gets inevitably pulled in because of the Awilish ultimate. The Anhur pick, though, really makes a lot of sense here, because Anhur is great in lane up against immobile characters. And Poseidon, while he does have a good amount of mobility with that extra movement speed due to his passive, he doesn't have that dash, he doesn't have that leap. If he gets hit by that big slow, you're going to be standing there for a long time. So I like this idea from Sops. Try and get some kills in lane onto Benny-Q.
Now, obviously, the end of Season 3 has been a lot of invasion metas going on. You've seen it so far today as well, and in Europe yesterday. And that's why you can actually see the Slugs are just sat back right now, because if you look at their level 1 team, it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. There's not much they can really do in a level 1 fight compared to their opposition, who have a lot more control available to them without investing too much into the wrong abilities you want to begin with at the start of the game.
Yeah, the level 1 potential for Town USA is leaps and bounds above that of Slaughter Slugs, and it is going to be Odin in the solo lane for Medieval, and it's going to be Awilish in the jungle.
Yeah.
It's still just kind of surprising to me. Cope made his name in the Challenger Cup on playing Awilish solo and in the jungle. He was a jungler at first, and then transitioned over to solo, and that was the joke, was that he's just going to keep playing Awilish over there.
But it's the pressure.
And this is the time to do it.
Is the pressure from Erlang Shen jungle as good as Awilix's jungle could be overall? That's a question, I guess.
It's pretty close. It's not a huge difference there.
There we go. The invaders started. Town USA looking to invade with Sylvanas over here. Khepri here too to support. So it's going to be a Mexican standoff between the two teams at the beginning. Not a real surprise overall. No one's going to get experience for this right now, but Town USA do get an easier chance to get to the solo lane earlier and start farming if they so choose, but they're having to back away as Mexiati has rotated towards mid lane instead.
I'm confused at why Slaughter Slugs are so scared to take the fight right now, or just try and do the buff, because they've got Wrath and
very early purification coming out there. A lot of nerves coming on the side of Shadow Chair early on. Obviously, he expected a feather step, and if he gets hit by that, he's going to get hit by the follow-up damage too. Hard to respect it. And at the end of the day, if you don't see it coming till it's too late, it's better to purify and be wrong than not purify and die.
I don't know if he would have died anyways, but there could be some deaths over on these fire elementals. Ratcheteer getting very low, Crush over the wall. Not going to do enough damage to stop Megxiety from picking up that first blood.
Medieval forced to leap away on the right-hand side. The elementals are going to go down there on the right. And now Town USA find themselves with a lead with a kill onto the Awilix in the jungle. Very important there. Medieval having to deal with 2 players in his lane as Sylvanas, played by Valentine here, still in the lane.
This is very surprising to me, because like we mentioned in the start of the broadcast this game, the Slaughter Slugs have been together for a long time, so I expect them to have their communication be pretty clean overall. In the call from Shadow Chair, there has to be, there's 2 in mid, they're going to out-clear me. Where are they going to go? Of course they're going to head towards the Fire Elementals. There's no reason to be pulling those. Even if you're able to get them, you're in a bad spot, and it's going to be tough for you to want to run away, especially when you're still only level 1 because of that awkward little dance around the right side.
And that's going to be the big key here, is how people can adapt to that, because these 2 that we're watching in the lane right now, they're Benny-Q and his opponent there, Sops. Very important for both of them in the grand scheme of things to get a substantial lead to try and transition to helping their team, as they've got a lot of solo experience already.
Benny-Q is going to have to wait until he gets about 3 items online. That's when Poseidon has that. Poseidon has a really big power spike at 2 items, and then it's a very awkward sort of transition into the third, because it's usually going to be that Gem of Isolation picked up third, and that really changes the way he plays the game.
Early on there, coming out from Khepri, not enough to really slow down Sylvanas, though. Unfortunately, Valentine wasn't able to find the pull onto Odin, otherwise it could have been a bit of a trouble there for Medieval.
This is an interesting strategy from Town USA to leave Sylvanas in this duo lane, or excuse me, solo lane, turning it into a duo lane basically, permanently. We saw them do this a little bit whenever Valentine was playing Ymir, but not to this extent of staying for every single wave. This is just making sure he's getting as much farm as possible, and the fact that Cope is going to push the wave underneath the tower every single time, denying that farm from Medieval.
And the big key with Medieval here is in the early stages, his bird bomb can be very impactful at the minion wave. If he can land and the whole bird bomb. By having an extra member there, it denies him being able to bird bomb so easily and slow down the actual clear Odin has, so he can't impact the jungle so much.
And I love this because right now, as soon as Megxiety hits 5, Ballantyne leaves the lane because they want Medieval to bird bomb the wave. They want to bait him into using that jump and getting hit by that gravity surge and pulled back in.
And you can see there, Medieval not scared to just keep throwing out the poles. So he's going to keep continue Ballantyne, I should say. Continue to just throw out those poles over and over again, try and keep the pressure on. But Cope does hit level 5 just before Medieval there, used the ultimate, but immediately stopped by the Wrath just to make sure he didn't end up taking more poke.
And despite the fact that Cope was sharing multiple waves there in the solo lane, the fact that they were able to control those fire elementals so well, it means that Cope is going to hit 5 first.
Fury early from Soap, looking for pressure. Great damage there onto BennyQ, but it doesn't really hurt him in the grand scheme of things here. Obviously, a lot was invested for that, but the minion wave is clear, so he's not really losing any farm.
Not at all. BennyQ is going to be able to heal up a little bit, but on the right side, speed buff invade, picked up by Megxiety, another speed buff fight at least. Last time it was Panda Turtle able to secure it, but he just not on time for his buff, whereas the experience of Town USA pays off.
And this right-hand jungle is just being controlled by Town USA so well right now. Continuing to pressure. Medieval trying to combine here with a bit of pressure coming out from Panda Turtle as well on the Ratatoska, but not enough to catch the Oelix.
So close. Medieval was just looking for that cage. Shadow Chair needs to be careful here. He's in a bad spot. Ballantyne finds the pull, more than willing to trade it out, but on the right-hand side, pulled back in. Medieval.
Up, no feather step available as Mexity's out of mana now. Medieval still has the ring available. Not going to be burning it just yet, but he will right now. 2 trapped inside. I'm a Monster's waiting, and I'm a Monster connects. 1 kill there for Shadow Q. The second one hit Viper, but it wasn't enough to find a kill. The Crush, however, could be a different story. Not quite.
Oh, Medieval getting really greedy going underneath that tower. So is Panda Turtle. He's not going to be able to find it either. Viper still alive. The double heals. The pull for the BM. Viper able to survive and pick up a kill at the same time. That was such a good engagement for Slaughter Slugs. If they just take that kill and back it up, we got the Sanctuary out of Viper, no reason to dive. They've got double sustain. All their health bars are lying. They just have way more health than it shows because of that double sustain sort of composition. But Slaughter Slugs just, they don't look comfortable in this sort of situation. That's very surprising to me because this is a Challenger Cup veteran team that has done these all-day tournaments multiple times, and you expect these are the kind of teams that excel at playing these long tournaments, and Slaughter Slugs just don't look to be mentally there.
I mean, realistically, the later this game goes, though, the Slugs do have advantages with a Scylla and a Poseidon as an example on their squad. A lot of burst damage available to them if the perfect ring comes off at the right time. However, Town USA, their draft was all about early game and sustain. They've got an early game focus with Anher here. Erlang Shen and Oelix is great for the early game, and then as the game goes on, you can sustain them back up with a raw Sylvanas over and over again. This is what should kind of happen in the beginning of the game. The difference is that Slugs didn't respect the invade so much and ended up being punished.
In some ways, yes, but you also can't let a double sustain composition like this get rolling and really start to get the lead. Sob's jumping in onto BennyQ there, just to try and set up that gank for Megxiety. Because that the purification was down, Sob's actually was looking for the knockup off of Disperse. But usually when we talk about compositions draft around baiting out relics, it's about purification. Yep. It's drafting Ares and Hunbat on the same team to make sure that you're going to be able to pull a priority target in or fear them. But, oh, hold that thought, Ratcheteer.
Feather step available, Snipe 2, ultimate in place from Kefri, but pulled straight away to slow him down and escape. Abducts, however, will get him back to safety, and in the end, Ballantyne's pull possibly cost him a kill there.
Yeah, really, really nice play, though, by Ratcheteer to guarantee that that revive very early on. Now Medieval just trying to be here and keep the speed buff alive, but look at the damage coming out from Cope already.
Scylla's half health, so is Odin, so that's not going to mean a lot for Slugs to be able to stave the speed buff. And now Ratatoska going up Panda Turtle, a little bit too late to really do anything here. All he's really going to find is a bit of mid-wave farm.
Yeah, they need to get this mid-wave and get out as soon as possible because Ballantyne and Viper are both on the way back. Neither have ults, though, so they should be fairly safe. Medieval still here. He's got the cage, but doesn't want to use it. Megxiety, though.
Took a lot of free poke there. Purification to just buy himself a second in case he needed it from follow-up CC more than anything. But Suku gets him away from the danger for now. Right inside, Cope Baby's having a whale of a time, however, wailing on the tower.
But Medieval misses a big wave in solo because he's sticking around trying to get poke in the middle lane. Sure, they get the purification out from Megxiety, but that's about it, really. Nothing else. He three-way splits a wave instead of getting this over here.
It's just low pressure of a comp Slugs had at the start. That's what it kind of feels like to me. And either give it up or fight. Choose one. You can't just hang around doing both and it come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only saving grace for Slaughter Slug's composition is this double burst sort of comp. And like I was talking about earlier before Ratcheteer got pulled in mid, you're usually centered around burning the Purification. This composition is centered around burning the Sanctuary, making sure that they don't have that immune to the big Kraken or the big Ima monster.
Maybe, but there's one thing on that roster that they have right now, Town USA, and his name's Ballantyne, and he's got a relic right now that shuts both of them down for all intensive purposes, the Shell.
The Shell, and that's why this cage is going to be so important for Medieval, because they don't have that Phantom that we were talking about, and you need to force that Shell. If Sylvanas gets caged with one more person, he has to Shell automatically, basically because of the incoming damage that is going to be guaranteed more or less. You've got a giant AoE Crush, you've got a giant AoE Whirlpool as well, and then if you're in that tight spot, it's very easy for Shadow Chair to find the multi-man route once he ranks up that Sikkim all the way to rank 5. So you're basically going to have to force that Shell with 1 or 0 of those ultimates, and then bait the other one with the Sanctuary, and then finally get the kill with the last one. But that is so difficult to execute in the heat of a situation.
Medieval really wants those elementals, but he's going to find 4 members waiting for him here. Has to be very careful as he's still on his own. Reinforcements are slowly coming back on their way. Meanwhile, though, Cope is having a whale of a time again. He's going to force out the Scylla, who's I'm a monster too, but maybe he can find something with the ult.
Oh, he didn't go from anxiety, but Shadow Chair will find him over top of the wall.
Crush.
Panda Turtle, the Crush gonna finish him off. Viper very low as well. The Snipe gonna find a home, but it doesn't matter. Ratcheteer able to pick up the mid laner.
Ratcheteer may be in trouble himself right now. Forced to dash away, has his ultimate still available to give him the blessing if required. That was a good little skirmish for Slugs there. Full credit really to Panda Turtle being forced out the fight, but still making an impact.
2-man knock-up. Cope's here. There's the Kraken onto him. Nowhere to go. Benny Q makes the rotation pay.
We got a ball game now, boys and girls. Things have just started to heat up a little bit in favor of the Slugs all of a sudden, and the gap of gold is going to start to close if this continues. It's at 1900 right now, but a few extra seconds on the map with the enemy not farming, that'll get lower.
And that's a great counter to the Erlong Shen, is that Kraken. He's going to be able to, he won't be able to use 72 transformations directly afterwards. He's crippled still from the Whirlpool, and he just can't handle that amount of burst damage. And look at the farm that Benny Q has right now. He is level 14. Sops just now hit 13. Now, part of that gold is from killing Cope there, but overall, he's been doing a great job of farming and then making that rotation count. I mean, he's 4 levels up on the solo laner
and you
coming
saw
over.
How aggressive Sops was in that lane against him, looking to poke him out all the time, but he's still got all the farm. Obviously, Sops lost a little bit of farm because he had a few rotations looking for gank pressure that can impact his experience. Back to the right-hand side, though, Cope still level 10 now against Medieval after the last engagement.
And now Medieval's able to fight a little bit more efficiently because he has more points in that Bird Bomb combination. Of course, it combines your damage from both Lunge and the Raven Shield, so to be really effective, you need to be able to have both leveled up very highly.
Not sure if I agree with Cope's decision on Witchblade here. Like, it's not my personal thing, just because of the fact that when you look at the enemy roster, they're not really that auto-attack heavy overall anyway, are they? Yeah, I'll give you physical protections, but you got 2 big old magical dudes to have to deal with as well.
Magziti's got to deal with the damage with a 2-man taunt there from Cope. Ratcheteer pulled into the snipe, but not enough damage quite yet. Medieval jumps in, can't do that, buddy.
Revive, however, coming out there from Ratcheteer to keep him standing mid lane. Sops and Benny Q rotating just to make sure they can keep pace in case this fight continues. A lot of ultimates consumed right now, but the Kraken and the Iron Monster are still up for Slugs. They're waiting for an opportune moment.
And this isn't even going to be the worst part at this stage, but you can already see the impact that the double sustain has. That both teams were fairly even as far as total health pool goes, but after the double heals, it's going to be Slaughter Slugs.
Pull onto Valentine, into the ring he goes, 2 trapped inside as well, into the sky goes the rat. I'm a monster not being primed just yet. Thinking about coming down his Ratatoskers, the pull connects, hits 3. Shadow Chair just waiting and watching, doesn't fire the ultimate, very surprising.
Meanwhile, Benny Q fighting with Sops in the jungle. Sops just playing bouncer right now over here, making sure he doesn't come and rotate in. Magziti jumps away, but pinned immediately by Cope. Valentine's able to pick him up. Shadow Chair still has ultimate, but
going to get it off in time. Sadly enough, the crush was good. If he might potentially would have communicated with his team there, Ratatoska could have set him up perfectly for a 3-man. I'm a monster.
And that's a problem you see with a lot of Scylla players, is that they want to hold it for the reset. And that was a transition that I certainly had to go through playing Scylla quite a bit in the middle lane, is you want to make the big play, right? You want to get 2 shots out of it, 3 shots out of it. But at the end of the day, you just have to use it when you have the best opportunity. There is no chance that Shadow Chair has a better opportunity than a 3-man knockup from Panda Turtle. There is no way he finds a better setup than that. You just have to pull that trigger and use it for the damage. It's not about getting that reset. It's about having it find a home and use that damage.
Well, right now on Slaughter Slugs, you can see some anti-heal is coming online now. Divine Rune has been finished by Scylla already, but we may have to see some more come out here as this game goes on, because the sustain is going to get a little bit too much as time goes on. Obviously with Odin it does help, but you can't just use the Odin for the anti-heal. You need other forms of it as well. I'm expecting more relics that way as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we see Heartward Amulet here for Ratcheteer and not the Pestilence. That's what I figured he was building into. And going back to your comment about Cope going with the Witchblade, I think he's picking that up exclusively for the attack speed, and he wants to really be able to box with it in lane. But I agree with you. I mean, taking a look at the roster for Slaughter Slugs, my man needs a Runic Shield instead of the Witchblade. He needs to reduce the magical power from the 2 carries that are going to be doing the majority of the damage, especially with how far behind Panda Turtle is.
Yeah.
You really don't need to invest in any sort of physical damage.
Well, Go Fury are going to be started by Town USA. They've realized an opportunity here because all the members of Slugs were busy trying to make sure their own jungle got secured there. And so they lose a Gold Fury instead, and that's going to be 3.5k the way of Town USA now.
Benny Q pushing up on this left-hand side. I don't think he knows that Megxiety coming underneath. Someone pinged him out. He's got to know now. Level 17, though. He's willing to fight him. The Sanctuary going to buy Megxiety a whole new health bar.
But now Ratatoska's here too, going to hit 2, and now Sob's under a bit of pressure there. Not as much damage as he would have liked, but here's more reinforcements with the Scylla.
There it is. The Crush going to do a lot of damage. Purification use. I'm a monster. He's going to find that one. Shadow Chair does get the reset this time. The rest of the team forced to back up.
Now they're going to be able to potentially push on a little bit here if they so choose, only against 3, but all those ultimates consumed means they choose to just go and take their own jungle instead. Medieval here, though, didn't really enjoy that trade too much, forced to put a ring on it just to make sure he could get out.
Well-timed ring there, giving him that CC, that root immunity, rather, from Cope. Otherwise, he definitely would have fallen, but Cope just really bullying Medieval out in this lane.
Pull not going to find a home from Valentine there, still looking for extras in the mid lane overall here. 6-5 on the scoreboard. Fast-paced like most of the games have been today. And the Fiesta has been pretty strong for the most part. It's been mainly, from what I can see, small outplays and small misplays that have become more fortuitous as the game has gone on for both teams.
For the most part, yeah. And that's one of the things that in these open bracket sort of scenarios where the teams you're playing against have mostly been playing at the same time as you, or if you haven't been being streamed or anything like that, teams don't really know what you're running. But I expect in the finals, if they're able to catch this game, or next week even, there's no reason to let Cope have this Erlang Shen. He's played it so well. And Medieval playing this Odin is the right pick into the composition, but he just hasn't been able to have the impact that he wants because of Cope on this Erlang Shen. You can see he's still pressuring him out consistently. So if I'm watching this and I'm going up against Town USA later on or tomorrow, this Erlang Shen is one of the key bans I'm looking at.
Well, Betty Q here is level 18 on that Poseidon. I think he should almost hit that point now where he should be leaving that tier 1 tower alone. He doesn't need to worry about losing that tower. He should be in these team fights grouping, I feel. These Krakens are going to be absolutely huge during them now. He's massively ahead of everybody.
Yeah, he really is, and he's got the Pythags piece. He's got a ton of cooldown between the Shoes of Focus and that Pythags piece. They need those whirlpools, and he's also got the utility from the Gem of Isolation, and this is why this is a great option for Benny Q to play this Poseidon in the Hunter role, is because the damage from the Kraken that you usually are looking for in the middle lane, you're forced to build damage because you aren't getting the levels to level it up. But in the Hunter role, Benny Q almost has that Kraken maxed out. It's got 4 points in it right now, so even if he's not building a ton of damage or penetration, it's still going to hit you for a ton of HP just because of the sheer levels that you have, which lets him itemize into a more utility, cooldown, Gem of Isolation sort of zoning role.
Really good work at hitting level 19 in 16 minutes, but in the jungle right now, Ratcheteer under pressure from the Feather Step from Mexity. However, Cope at the same time doing the same sort of thing there to both Ratcheteer and Medieval, who's trying to hang around and support his support.
Panda Turtle up in the sky. Shadow Chair is just nowhere close, though. Panda Turtle forced to use Purification just to get away. Cope not letting him go. The level 15 solo laner just bullying out the rest of Slaughter Slugs.
Well, they're all on different targets, so no one's really falling, and then eventually Slugs will fall back to safety. They lose the speed buff on the right-hand side overall there, but they don't lose any lives, which is also important to allow them to keep on farming.
Absolutely, just doing whatever they can to stay alive. 3 ultimates used there. I didn't even see the I'm a Monster come out necessarily from Shadow Chair, but it's not going to have that much damage because he's also itemizing into this. Uh-oh, Shadow Chair.
Shadow Chair, or maybe not. No, he will get away just in time there. Purification was forced, however, he was trying to hang on to it to the best he could, but as soon as he saw Benny Q dip to the left-hand side, he immediately went on the Scylla.
Yeah, he needs to be sitting under tower, waiting patiently for everyone to come through. If he still had I'm a Monster, I would understand the fact that he's trying to make a play happen there, but he doesn't, so you're not going to be able to find that kill.
Talking about play, Cope was looking for a cheeky steal there, but he needs to be careful of Ratcheteer, who is behind him now. 3 members on this right-hand side. Gold Fury down for a while, so this won't really hurt the Slugs too much by sending 3 members. Same time, though, Cope recognized it just in time, and the Turtle comes to the rescue.
BennyQ has finally showed up to a fight in the middle lane now, uses the Kraken, forces out that Sanctuary from Viper, and I love that decision. Not holding on to that ultimate too long. Basically the opposite of what we saw for earlier from Shadow Chair. Getting that relic out, because like we said, it's so important with that.
Bird bomb in mid lane, looking for Viper. Ring is down too, and Viper's in a whole world of hurt. He's the first to fall. Mexity on the right-hand side has to exit. As still, Ratatoska going in. I'm a Monster primed, and I'm a Monster connects to help pick up Valentine. Credit for the kill goes to the Turtle.
No surprise that BennyQ shows up to 1 fight, and Slaughter Slugs get 2 kills.
Yep.
I mean, he's level 20. He's level 20 at 18 minutes and making it happen right now for the Slugs.
This is the same sort of thing you normally see from Hunter role players, is that they'll turn up, they'll hit a build and go, guys, I am big right now, let's fight. That's
time to go. Yeah, absolutely. And this is what BennyQ is known for, is playing these very strange Hunters. And let's be real, sometimes it works like this, and he has the opportunity to carry the game. And then other times, you're playing Hades ADC and it doesn't really work out.
Well, it's kind of this meta that you can do this in right now, with so much focus on the right-hand side at the beginning of the game. The Hunters, the Hunter role to an extent, getting all that free farm is going to allow him to just escalate their builds a little bit more. Poseidon, if he's a mid laner, he's going to have to share more waves than he usually would in the Hunter role.
Absolutely, and like I already talked about, the fact that you can itemize this way and then come in and just do the damage because of your leveling and your base damage is so key for Poseidon. Though, as much as I loved BennyQ's build up until now, one small misstep in my mind, and that's going for this Obsidian Shard when you have another magic damage dealer. Scylla is going to need that Obsidian Shard as well.
Going to try and contest the Gold Fury, but it's too late to get there overall. Town USA get their second Gold Fury of the game, so all that work that we just saw the boys of Slugs put in, the gold deficit is back to where it was minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Town USA, again, just being opportunistic, and that's what we've seen from them throughout this entire day, basically, just waiting for the other team to make a mistake and then capitalizing on it.
And now on Speedbuff going to be taken there for the Slugs for the time being. Slow down for a second, I say that, but there's an Abduct Crush combo. Does connect, but it's on Valentine. He's very, very tanky until Medieval turns up. He may look for a ring.
He's got him now. Valentine in a bad spot. The snipe is going to find a home in Shadow Chair, but the I'm a Monster will not. Panda Turtle up in the sky. Mexity on the backside looking at Shadow Chair.
Mexity doing good work on the back to keep that Scylla busy for the most part. Good Sanctuary to keep him alive for now. Mexity gets a big feather step and gets a double kill off that as well. But round the corner, there is BennyQ. Kraken is currently down, forced to fall back. Now these lost members, and there's the benefit of the shell and the sustain that Town USA have.
And the Phantom there is picked up by Valentine. Didn't have it in that situation, but just baited himself long enough to make sure that he could stay alive. Tier 1 tower middle goes down, and this Tier 2 tower is not looking any better.
No, he's going to be dropped down here. I don't think there's really any sort of defense he can do. BennyQ trying to clear the minions more than anything else there, as Coke Baby trying to zone them away from defending the Tier 2 extra gold in the coffers of Town USA.
And now red buff is going to be stolen away as well. You can take a look at the graphs. Town USA definitely taking a much more commanding lead after that. A severe down spike because of that missed execution on the top right Harpies. If you're going to full commit to a support, you need to kill the support, because even if you do in situations like that, you could still end up losing the fight because of it. And there, they don't kill the support anyways. Valentine survives, is able to sustain up his team. Shadow Chair just doesn't have the damage right now to 100-0. Even if that I'm a Monster would have connected, I don't think Valentine would have died. And it's because of this Divine Ruin build. I mean, it's necessary, right? Yep. You need the anti-heal coming out of Shadow Chair, but it really elongates that power spike of Scylla that's already fairly difficult to fill out.
I'm looking down the relic usage here for Slaughter Slugs overall. It will be a curse there available for Ratcheteer now. Other anti-heal items, Pestilence on the side of Odin as well, but it's like almost double stacking to an extent with him already having the ring. I mean, it looks like we may be seeing some coming out here as well from Panda Turtle, but on the right, Medieval's in a lot of trouble here.
He's got the Raven Shield, but it's already gone. Cope just doing so much damage right now with that extra attack speed from Wingblade. Shadow Chair shows up to try and give a little bit of support. None of the skills are going to find home, though, and even if they would have, that double sustain.
And this is a 4v4 3-5 because you can see Benny on the left-hand side takes a tier 1, looking at a tier 2, but I'd really love him at the fight right now at this level 20 stage. Good pin from Cope, forcing him back again. Yeah, I love the way Cope just runs at them, going fall back or fight, pick one right now, and if you don't choose, we're going to take the tower and the fight and possibly win both.
Yeah, Benny Q needs to back immediately, and he's not even going to get that tier 2 tower, it looks like. As soon as Benny Q backs, everyone just backs off the Phoenix. Town USA doesn't want any more part of that.
That was the right timing from Town USA of how far they pushed forward there to the Phoenix, because you show yourself towards the Phoenix, the team asks you to recoil, and they actually send it to take the tower because of that.
And there's the weakness of this hunter or mage hunter, is that the tower push just isn't there. If Benny Q's a traditional hunter, then he absolutely secures that tier 2 tower.
Speed buff, Cope gonna lead in his boys for now. Straight to the backside he goes, knocks up 3. Grubby essentially gonna force Scylla out with the purification as well. Good time wall, just gonna slow down the advance of Town USA, but the speed buff is stripped away slowly but surely by Town USA, and they still control this right-hand side of the map.
Every sanctuary is up right now for Town USA, and that's the big key, is that these Krakens from Benny Q are not going to have that same impact that they had earlier on.
They want to fight. The pin's good. Benny Q's in a bit of trouble here, forced away. Shell already used there by Ratcheteer as well, but Ratcheteer is trying to be a front line for his team as the rest of his team has been forced away from him. Ratcheteer goes down solo.
And now the Kraken is still being held onto by Benny Q. Can't find it. The cage is down, but it doesn't matter. The Kraken finds a home, but it doesn't matter either. Sop's able to pick up 2. No one alive except for Panda Turtle, and he's already back at his Phoenix, just trying to survive.
Bait into a fire around the fire giant. That's something you don't really want to do as the Slugs if you could. You couldn't group up well at the same time. They got picked off one at a time. The front line 1, over front line 2, and there's game 1 goes the way of Town USA.
In Slaughter Slugs,